Hello, listeners. Jordan here. I just want to let you know that you can listen to Nighttime early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Include it with Prime.
You are listening to Keep Canada Weird, a weekly weird news roundup by the Nighttime Podcast.
Handsome Aaron Airport. It's a big night, as it always is when we meet. We got a lot to talk about personally, we got a lot to talk about professionally, and we got a lot of weird Canadian news stories to round up. But before we get into any of that, let me just ask, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for asking. I'd also like to ask, how are you doing?
I feel like I'm about to have the weight of the world lifted off my shoulders.
Oh, are you paying off your house? Or
no,
are you...
I'm finding redemption. We had issues with special drinks. I vowed to find special drinks. This morning, I did not have a special drink, and I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? He's going to be so upset. I was going to go to the gas station and find something special, but I made a quick pit stop at the Keep Canada Weird P.O. Box, and I had a little package from a Keep Canada Weird correspondent who made it their mission to keep my drink special and interesting. A listener named Haley sent me this. Pop, I've never seen it before. It's a birthday cake flavored candy can. It's very special. It's 0 sugar, and I'm about to open it right now. What do you got in your cup?
Well, here's the embarrassing thing. So I knew you were going to have a special drink tonight. And so I went to the gas station to pick out a special drink for myself. Mm-hmm. And I found this really cool drink that was sugar-free and caffeine-free.
Oh, lay it on me.
It's called a candy can.
What?
Yeah, it's the same as yours, except my flavor is bubblegum.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Haley didn't send you this. This is just...
No, this is by pure coincidence. You and I have the same drink. Well, it's different flavors, but the same special drink tonight. By total just lining up of the special drink stars.
That is wild, but maybe that's a sign. Maybe we got something special tonight. I want to thank Haley for sending my drink, and thank you to the good people at some random gas station for serving Aaron his copycat drink of mine.
No. It's not a copycat.
Just a coincidence.
Copycat's kind of a negative term.
It's a happy coincidence.
Yeah, I think it's a miracle, actually.
We got a lot of miraculous stories to get into, but before we do, let's check in with a listener. Alex from the United States wants to give a bit more background on a story we covered last week. You remember the raccoons that were on fentanyl?
I do, yeah. And that's the reason why we're getting a 25% tariff from Trump right now.
Oh, yes, the fentanyl.
The fentanyl,
yes.
Yeah.
Alex from the United States, they know a thing or two about animals eating fentanyl. Listen to this.
Hi, Jordan, Aaron. This is Alex in Tucson, Arizona. I was calling to answer some of your questions about the raccoon fentanyl story. It was very sad. I live here in Tucson, Arizona. It's a very big problem. There is a lot of people addicted to this drug and a lot of public usage of it. So I do have some familiarity, enough to know that here, at least, it's smoked off of a foil. So it's sort of melted down and smoked off of foil. And it also smells sort of like rotting food. Some people say burnt popcorn, burning rubber. And I think when I've smelled it, it has a old cabbage soup note. Those are just some of the notes of fentanyl. So I can totally see a situation where a raccoon would be dragging it out of a debris of a pile where people are, just sitting and using it out on the street. And I know from I have actually a personal experience. My dog kept escaping out of my yard, and she would go scavenging for trash. She was originally a stray. She started bringing into the house these foils, and one of my friends at the time was like, those are fentanyl foils, like your dog. So I had to have like a whole new better fence installed so I could get my dog off fentanyl. But I hope that makes the whole story make a little bit more sense. It's probably looked like a really yummy treat, and I'm glad they're better now.
Does that make any more sense, or is it just weirder now?
It makes more sense. We were thinking something like that, like maybe it was in some garbage or something,
Hmm.
and the raccoons kind of. But now the smell factor kind of makes a lot more sense that the raccoons will be drawn to the fentanyl because of the way it
Yeah.
smells in the tinfoil and everything. So
I'm so ignorant. I thought it was like just like a pill you pop. So I was imagining the raccoons like finding like pills. Yeah, I didn't realize that it like, you smoked like this rotten food, cabbage smell, soup smelling stuff and, and
yeah.
dogs were addicted to it. Good Lord, Tucson sounds like hell.
I don't know. It's everywhere as hell these days. And it does bother me to know that people are doing this really extremely dangerous drug. And then they're also just kind of leaving it wherever. And then innocent animals are getting into it. It's one thing when you decide that you're going to do it as an individual and you make that conscious choice to do that, knowing the risks and the dangers. But an animal doesn't. An animal is just looking for food and comes across this drug along its way that was just left for anyone to discover. I don't know. That bothers me.
Well, you know what? You've kind of introduced a theme that's going to come up through the story, which is like human beings' irresponsible decisions affecting nature's way. So let that be
Hmm.
the introduction to our first story. We're going to call this Selkirk, Manitoba's Adorable Invasion. This is an interesting news story been playing out over the last week in Canada. I've received several emails from Keep Canada Weird correspondents, keep making us aware of this story. To set it up here, Selkirk, Manitoba is dealing with an adorable problem. Some time ago, an irresponsible resident released some domestic rabbits into the wild. And thanks to their ability to reproduce rapidly, it's become an invasion that has divided the community. Some residents adore the bunnies, where others complain of property damage and the potential of predators becoming attracted to the area. Here's the story of Selkirk, Manitoba's adorable invasion.
You get ones that are like gray and white and albino, and ones with cute little tufts of hair coming out of the top of their heads.
Selkirk resident Jeff Knight is a rabid rabbit fan.
I'm very welcoming of the bunnies.
The domestic critters have been hopping around town the past several years. But rabbits being rabbits, the population exploded. And now Knight and other community members are preparing to say goodbye.
On Saturday is going to be our first large-scale capture of bunnies to try to catch as many as we can.
Popcorns and Binkies Rescue Haven is working with the city of Selkirk to round up the rabbits and find them homes. Volunteer Michelle Savard says they're not equipped to live outdoors, and most they've already rescued have had health problems.
They end up in the road and bad things happen. And some of the babies that we got in, it's because a dog got into the litter.
There's property damage that the citizens are raising concerns with us to address.
Selkirk CAO Dwayne Nichols says the bunnies are also attracting coyotes to town.
It's really important that we address this and get them removed because we do not need predatory species in the urban environment.
He's raised the issue with the province. He says the bunnies were purposely released and wants animal abuse charges filed.
The person has admitted to city staff that they did release them. We provided that information to the chief veterinarian's officer. We are undertaking all of this work with Popcorns and Mickey's on our own accord, using municipal tax dollars to take care of the current issue. But our concern is that this abuse will continue unless law enforcement is used and the law is enforced.
Some residents are looking forward to Saturday's capture.
They're more just a nuisance. It's not that I don't like the bunnies. It's overpopulated at this point.
And while he knows it's the best for the bunnies, Knight says they're welcome in his yard anytime.
It's been a very nice addition to the neighborhood, and I am definitely going to miss them.
So what exactly are they planning Saturday? Is this like, are they killing a bunch of bunnies or are they trapping them? And what are they going to do with like a town full of bunnies captured?
Well, I think they're going to find them homes. Basically, the animal shelter will help to connect them with people who are looking to house a cute, adorable bunny rabbit.
Yeah, that's going to be tough, though. It's one thing if you got, 5 bunnies, maybe 10 or 15 bunnies, but this is like it's described as like an invasion in the town of bunnies. I can only assume they're going to capture, 50 to 100 of these things. There can't be that many people out looking for a pet bunny.
I don't know. Maybe they can ship them to other parts of this province or the country. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Um, but what confuses me about this is that someone let these bunnies out. They're domesticated bunnies that have been let out into the wild by one particular person. But they said they've been around for years.
Hmm.
So, and there's, I guess, maybe hundreds of them. Like,
It seems like hundreds of them.
it seems like it, but they didn't give any official estimates of
Mhm.
how many of these domesticated slash now wild bunnies are out there and having babies. These babies then grow up to be completely wild, aren't they?
Yeah, I would
So
assume so. And
there's
like
just
I
too many
think,
bunnies now. Is that the issue, or is the issue that
yeah,
they're still domesticated?
I no, I don't. I can't imagine they're domesticated anymore. These are like fifth, seventh, 10th generation um, domesticated, but now wild bunnies. But here's a few things. There's some stories behind this story. First of all, I'm sure they're going to be killing a whole bunch of these rabbits, and they don't want to say it because the name of the place doing it seems to be Binky and Popcorn's Rescue or something. But anyway, that's one thing. Another thing is in the news clip we just heard, they make it sound like it's in the best interest of the rabbits because they're not fit to be outside and some of them had health concerns. But it sounds like they're doing just fine because it's been a few years, their population is booming. It seems like they're doing great. And if
That's
we
what's
just
confusing me about the whole thing is that they were making it sound like the reason that they're not fit to be outside is because they're still domesticated, like they don't have the ability to survive in the wild.
then why are they thriving?
Then why are they seemingly thriving? I don't understand this story at all.
Hmm. Yeah, I feel the same way.
I get if
Uh,
the issue is strictly now the rabbit population in the area is
well, that's it.
skyrocketed and it's
Well, that's
attracting
must
coyotes and
It could be a tourism thing. People would love to go to the town that's just full of bunnies, assuming that bunnies they don't like attack kids or something. Or
and
maybe they do.
assuming that they're not sickly either, because according to some of the indications in this news story is that they have health issues
I
and
think that's fake news. If they did have health issues, their populations wouldn't be thriving.
I don't know. Not much makes sense in this story. Not to, be crapping on rabbits this entire episode, but I actually have a traumatic experience with a bunny rabbit when I was a
Oh,
very young boy.
okay. Tell me.
So, when I was very young, my cousins had a pet rabbit and
Mhm.
they kept it in a cage in their yard.
That's sad. Hmm.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, go on.
So anyway, we would always be kind of looking at the rabbit and trying to pet it through the cage or whatever. And one time I stuck my finger in through the cage and he took a huge chunk out of my finger with his rabbit teeth.
Oh, but you'd be pretty brutal.
Yeah. And I remember having to get stitches and I think I had to go to the doctor to get some kind of a rabies shot or something.
Mm.
I remember it
You're
being a big deal and everybody was really freaked out over the whole thing.
damn. Um, you're okay now though.
I don't know.
Okay, good.
I mean, there could be. I mean, I have PTSD over it. I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna poke a bunny rabbit ever again.
no. Um, Good things like rabbits and bunnies can create issues. Harmless pranks can also create issues. And we've covered that a lot, and we've covered this topic a lot on the show. I'm talking about Ding Dong Ditch, Nicky Nicky Nine Door, Nicky Nicky Nine Doors. That's been a topic we've covered throughout a series of episodes. If you go back over the last year, it must have been 5 or 6 times we've brought that up on the show. There was a story that we missed in Quebec that we need to visit now. A correspondent named Jerome let me know that there's a story playing out in Quebec related to a case of Nicky Nicky Nine Door or Ding Dong Ditch that went horribly wrong. The reason we missed it is because the majority of the news reports covering this story are in French, but it's now like a trial is happening now. So the mainstream English media is catching on. This story is completely nuts. It takes place in Saint-Sauveur, Quebec. A trial is underway for Claude Bourgie, a 65-year-old man, and his wife Miriam Diaby, who's 53. They're facing serious charges from a ding-dong ditch involved incident that happened back in 2021. The couple's accused of forcibly detaining and assaulting a 13-year-old boy who performed the prank at their home. The trial, which just began this past week, has revealed some disturbing details of exactly what happened. I'm going to play a news clip, and let's pivot from bunnies to Ding Dong Ditch. Here it comes.
Claude Bourgie and Mariama Diaby are back in court today. They're accused of kidnapping a teenager in 2021 as revenge over a game known as Ding Dong Ditch. That's when pranksters knock on a door or ring a home's doorbell, then run or hide, hoping not to get caught. And while most get off with a warning, Bourgie allegedly chased down 2 teens in his Porsche and dragged one of them into his garage. It's also alleged he pinned the teen on the ground and tied his hands behind his back with a rope. The boy was just 13 at the time. The 65-year-old man is charged with kidnapping, forcible confinement, assault, and making death threats. His 53-year-old wife is also facing charges of forcible confinement and assault. One of the 4 teenagers involved was cross-examined by the defense. He said on the day in question, they were bored and looking for something to do. The accused listened on, Bourgie occasionally shaking his head. Several other witnesses will be heard in the trial, including a neighbor and more teens.
I think what started our whole coverage of Ding Dong Ditch was a, maybe I'm wrong, but there was like a TikTok trend going around of like kids kicking doors and taking off and putting it up on TikTok. And that led us to a story about like someone chasing down some kids and like ramming them with his car, if I remember. Maybe.
Yeah, it was an incident with a car.
Yeah, it was like hit some kids with the car. It was like an old man, I think, hit some kids with the car.
And wasn't there a story where there was a gentleman who took his shotgun out or something? He had a gun and he fired at some of the pranksters. Yeah,
we had a few, but this is like next level. Like a Ding Dong Ditch, knocking on the door, taking off, leads to like a chase, kidnapping, forcible confinement. I don't even know where to begin with this, other than I hope the courts, if true, I hope the courts throw the book at these people. Absolutely.
Yeah, you can't do that. No matter how much the individual may deserve it in terms of, you know, who knows what the situation was. We weren't there to watch the actual enactment of Ding Dong Ditch and what was happening in the background and what this couple was up to in the house. Maybe it was done in a scary way and the guy blacked out with rage and
oh, I thought you meant the ding dong. Like I thought you meant like the forcible confinement was done in a scary way.
No,
you mean the ding dong ditch?
You know, that's the forcible confinement is. Yeah,
that was definitely
it's a
scary.
side effect of Ding Dong Ditch. Obviously, this prank, which at face value could be labeled as innocent, is really causing people to lose their minds. Chasing kids down in cars, shooting at them, and now kidnapping them. So obviously it's going to get worse. So what is the next level? Killing a child because they performed Ding Dong Ditch on you?
Well, I'm shocked it hasn't happened as I now know from these stories. This is not the time in the history of humanity to perform what used to be innocent pranks on people. Like what we've learned in this show is you can't even honk at someone in a drive-through for being on their phone and you know, and delaying driving ahead.
No,
we need the people out there to know if someone knocks on your door, don't answer it. They're probably just trying to sell you something or performing Ding Dong Ditch. So for homeowners, don't answer your door ever. And for children, don't perform pranks on people's homes. People are crazy.
Yeah, a friend of mine actually told me a story recently about it was, I don't know if I would call it Ding Dong Ditch or Nicky Nicky Nine Doors, but she was home and there was a knock at the door. She opened the door and the kid punched her in the face and then ran.
What?
Yeah. Wild stuff. But like the climate is so tense out there right now that if you're going to somebody's door to play Ding Dong Ditch, you have to realize that that person probably just came from the grocery store where they spent their entire paycheck on the most basic amount of food. And then they were spending their entire evening digging a bomb shelter in the backyard. And then they're coming into
Because
the
of
house to finally get some sleep. And then all of a sudden there's a loud knock at the door. They go to the door and that person is gone. And then it's like, you know what? I've had it. I've been digging my bomb shelter all damn night. I'm broke. I've got nothing. I'm kidnapping you.
We got a lot of animal stories tonight. We have a very Keep Canada Weird animal story to talk about. This one, I don't know if you've seen it in the news, but I'll tell you lots of Keep Canada Weird correspondents did, because I think I received somewhere between 5 and 10 messages informing us about the well-dressed deer that was seen in British Columbia. I'm going to play a short news clip, and we will do our best to understand what was happening here. Here comes the clip.
A wildlife sighting in northern BC is raising questions over how a deer ended up in a high visibility safety jacket. This deer was easy to spot on the side of the road in McBride, a village about 200 kilometers east of Prince George. A local reporter was driving through town Sunday when she saw this bizarre sight and snapped a couple of photos. Conservation officers are now working to find the deer and remove the jacket because it puts the animal's safety at risk.
The safety vest putting the deer's safety at risk.
The irony,
is a weird irony there. I don't know how that could be, because I was kind of thinking about what is dangerous about this for the deer. For one, like you would think a big threat to deer would be getting hit by cars or shot by hunters. I think these two things combined, or these two risks for the deer would be heavily reduced by wearing a high visibility vest. Like I don't think a hunter would shoot it if it's wearing a vest, and I think it's less likely a car would hit it. Then again, like for the risks, or what would make it more dangerous, like maybe a predator, like I don't know, like wolves or something could see it better. But I think they see
they're gonna they smell the deer.
They
don't need to physically see it. They can they know where it's at and they know it's around. But one thing I did read when I was reading this story earlier today, I don't know what title they had, but it was some kind of an animal expert had pointed out that a reason that they should remove the jacket from the deer is because when they're supposed to start shedding, the jacket would prevent that from happening. And so when they don't shed when they're supposed to, that can leave them susceptible to disease.
Okay, that makes sense. And let's talk a bit about how and why this has happened. Now, when I first heard this story and saw this going around, I assumed that the deer just somehow managed to get like caught up in this vest. I'm going to read you a clip from a couple statements from someone who got an up close and personal look at this deer. A guy named Joe Rich talked to CBC, and he saw it in the woods around the same time the reporter took the photos. He said that he managed to take a closer look at the deer, and it was clearly dressed in the jacket with the deer's legs placed through the sleeves. It was zipped right up, he said. Someone obviously had to tackle this thing and put the jacket on it. At first, I thought maybe it got tangled up, as I did. But at a second glance, that's not the case. Clearly, the jacket was put on the deer. So this deer is literally wearing it, like its legs are poking through the armholes and the zipper is pulled up. Why would someone do that, and how would they do that?
Those are
you go first.
I mean, I can understand the why much easier than I can understand the how. The how, I have no idea how, unless you were to tranquilize the deer and then put it on when it's unconscious, is the only way I figure that they would be able to do this. But
I thought the same thing, and it's a female deer, or well, it's the type of deer that doesn't have the big horns, so it wouldn't be that dangerous to get close to it. But
Either way, it's a
just
big
the act of
animal.
getting
It's
it on,
strong. It's
yeah.
powerful. I wouldn't tangle with a baby deer, let alone a grown adult.
Yeah. And as far as the why, I can only assume that maybe someone, it's not like the deer is someone's pet, but maybe someone's feeding this deer and has grown fond of it, and it's like, I don't want the deer to get hit by a car or shot by a hunter.
Yeah.
You would think the obvious thing to do would be, I don't know, put like a orange tape or something, or an orange ribbon around it in a way like that makes it like a reflective orange ribbon. But to put a safety vest
It'd probably
on it
even
is,
be better to spray paint the deer than it would be to put the vest on it.
yeah, good point. Then when it loses its fur or whatever, as you said,
Yeah.
there's that risk isn't there, and you don't have to like grab it. You can spray paint it from a couple feet away. Not that I advocate for spray painting deer.
No, we're not recommending. I mean, we already have an animal uprising on our hands. We don't need to be spray painting the animals and getting them even angrier at us. But
I was looking on YouTube at there was a video of the news coverage of this event. There was some interesting comments that presented some theories. Someone named RCPROD6931, which is a very lame YouTube handle. They said the most likely explanation is that the deer disarmed a hunter, tied him or her up, and then took the person's safety vest.
yeah,
Possibly.
yeah.
Someone else suggested that the deer may be forklift certified.
It could be.
Someone
Stranger
else-
things have happened.
And then someone else suggested that even the deer doesn't trust BC's drivers.
Yeah. Well, I can't speak to that. I've never driven in BC, but
Well, yeah, it's a strange sight. That's a very Keep Canada weird story, though.
yeah, it's a weird story, and there's a lot of unanswered questions to it, which makes it a great Keep Canada weird story.
I don't think we're going to get a solution. Aaron, we got to get into a consumer report segment of the show. We've talked about a lot of scams, both clever ones and both nonsensical ones that we rolled our eyes at. But one scam we've talked about a lot are scams targeting people that are looking to buy tickets for Taylor Swift concerts. I'm not surprised to hear that some of these scams were successful and that people fell for it and bought tickets that didn't exist and lost their money. But what I am surprised about is that there actually was an arrest. An Ontario woman was recently charged and arrested after allegedly defrauding Swifties for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Listen to this news clip. We'll talk about what should happen with this evildoer.
New developments in a massive Taylor Swift ticket fraud investigation.
Denise Tesor of Burlington is facing over 30 charges in relation to this investigation. Now, we first brought you this story a week ago, but it dates back much farther than that. Some of these people who believed to have been contact with Denise Tesor bought tickets as far back as August of 2023. Once they had transferred the money, they were told that they would receive the tickets just about 48 hours before the concert. Now, when Taylor Swift came to Toronto in the middle of November, many of these people who thought they had tickets quickly found out those tickets were never there. A lot of them came together and created a group, and they were able to tally some of the tickets that had been promised but not delivered. They got to the point where over 100 people had been affected. They said over 400 tickets had been promised and not delivered, and they tallied those at about $300,000. Now, last week, we visited Denise Tesor's home to ask her and see if she wanted to tell her side of the story. She did not want to talk to us, and at this point, we find out that Toronto police have made this arrest. We talked to Toronto police today. Here's what they had to say.
It's alleged that she was on social media platforms such as Facebook Marketplace, using an alias, Denise Blackhawk, and offering tickets for the Taylor Swift concert in Toronto. The Toronto Police do believe that there may be more victims out there, and we are working with Halton Regional Police Service on this ongoing investigation.
Awful. What that news clip doesn't get into is when you think of the victims, of course, there's the financial loss of sending some scammer money through after meeting on Facebook Marketplace or whatever. So you lose your money. But how many of these tickets were bought and ended in like a mom or the dad saying to their kids, like, we're doing it. We're going to Taylor Swift. I got you tickets. This is going to be amazing for your birthday or, whatever. Booking hotels, arranging travel, only to 2 or 3 days before the concert, find out the tickets don't exist.
Yeah, pretty disappointing for the child and for the parents who really wanted to provide their children with a magical moment. Yeah, but what a great story for them to have years from now to tell.
I don't think so. No, I don't think it's going to be a
Remember
good
when we
story,
couldn't go
no.
to the Taylor Swift concert because mom bought fake tickets from some woman on Facebook?
Yeah.
Remember, that was fun.
This person, there's a bit of more background to the story. The person seems to be like a ticket reseller. I've seen a news interview. I think CBC interviewed someone who had bought tickets from this woman in the past for other shows or other concerts and thought, I can trust her.
Yeah.
And bought a whole bunch of Taylor Swift concert tickets. And I think a part of the scam was like, I don't send you the tickets right now. I send them to you 2 days before the event. So, send me the money and I'll reserve your ticket and you'll get an email from me 2 days before the event, which sounds a little sketchy to me to begin with.
Yeah. It's a weird thing though. Like I do have small amount of sympathy for the individuals who are ripped off in this, but at the same time, like you're buying tickets from someone on Facebook. Like
I know.
Like I just
and
I
especially
have a hard time feeling sorry for someone who makes such silly decisions in this day and age when the writing has been on the wall for many years now that this is an unsecure way to purchase tickets to a concert or an event. The news is plastered with, scams happening in all different
romance
directions.
scams
Yeah,
and
old people scams. It's everywhere. So
when you catch one of these Facebook scammers, which is so rare that someone actually gets caught, I think they need a good smack.
I agree.
A good
Yeah,
justice smack.
the individual who did the scamming deserves to be struck down with the very heavy hand of the law.
They should be banned from Facebook.
Now hold on, that's extreme. That's extreme. No, I can't agree with that.
Okay.
This is not North Korea.
All right, we're going to switch gears here. So something we've done a lot on Keep Canada Weird is we highlight scams targeting Canadians. But I think it has revealed an opportunity here. So here's what I'm thinking. I want to come up with a new segment on the show. I don't know what we'll call it yet, but it's going to be a segment that allows listeners to come forward with consumer complaints. Do you have any ideas on names?
How about Taylor Swift tickets here?
We're going to workshop names, and we also will need a theme song to get into our consumer complaints and consumer affairs segment. But this opportunity or this segment was born out of an issue that a close friend of you and I are having. We have a friend, Randy Stonewall. He's been on the show several times before. He is locked in a bitter dispute related to an Airbnb rental. He came up to Halifax last week to spend a weekend with me. We had a great time. We had a great meal. When he got home from his weekend in Halifax, he found himself facing additional charges for a rather bizarre reason. I'm going to get Randy on the phone right now, and we can talk to him about what's going on with Airbnb.
Okay.
Let's jump right into it. Randy, set the scene for us.
Okay, so last Friday, my girlfriend and I we were going to Halifax for the Friday night. She had to write an exam the following day, so we figured we'd go up the day before and get an Airbnb and, go out for supper and see the sights of Halifax and visit with you, of course.
Yeah. Tell me about the Airbnb you stayed in.
Yeah. So we get to the Airbnb and, first thing is you want to get a shower, right? being on the road for several hours and you want to unwind a bit. So the shower in the Airbnb, it was giving off lukewarm water at best.
Oh,
not hot water.
Would you say it was cold water, or you're saying it was like room temperature? Like, what was the exact kind of temperature of the water?
I would say just tepid, just a lukewarm.
Okay.
And that's important, right? If you're staying in a hotel or Airbnb, you want to.
Yeah, but it's not the kind of thing where you're going to be like, I can't stay here. I'm just walking out of here. It's not going to be a great stay.
Exactly. Right.
Okay.
So we messaged the people about it upstairs. They're like, oh, because that was a suite in someone's house. They're like, oh, might be our dishwasher's on. We'll turn off the dishwasher and we'll see if that helps. Right. Well, I mean, it didn't help. Right. So
whatever. You stay there, and
so I left them not a great review. Right.
Okay, do you want me to read? Should I read the review?
Oh, you
Yeah,
have it
go
there?
ahead.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You have
I
it
have
with
it.
you? Okay, yeah, for sure.
I have it here.
And it's okay. Go ahead.
We'll give you a chance to defend yourself against this, or to defend this review if you need to. So when you stay at an Airbnb, you leave a review, and that allows other people who are considering staying at this place the opportunity to, make sure it's good. Your review was 3 out of 5 stars. You say, I wanted to give this place 5 stars, but I can only give 3. The place was clean, affordable, and in a great location. I see that many had left 5-star reviews, and we'd have given them 5 stars as well, but our shower was not giving hot water. Between the 3 of us, we had 4 showers, and each one of them was lukewarm. Nobody else seemed to have had this problem, so perhaps we were just unlucky. The sinks both produced hot water without any problem, but the shower, we had to jiggle the tap, trying multiple positions, and turn it ever so slightly to the left to provide us with about 10 seconds of tolerable temperature water before going tepid or lukewarm again. It seems to be trivial, but after traveling in a car for several hours and getting ready for a stressful exam, a hot shower could have made a world of difference. And the review goes on, but I think this was the main part. So you leave this review, 3 out of 5 stars. And I'm just going to say that seems fair. If you're like, how was it on a scale of 1 to 5? You'd say I had about a 3 time. Didn't have a great shower.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty reasonable thing to have an issue with too. And a totally normal and universal expectation of any Airbnb that you stay at is that you can have a hot shower.
The bed's important. The cleanliness is important. The shower is important.
Yeah.
In this case, the bed and the cleanliness were fine. The shower failed. So I think giving them a 3 or a 4 was probably fair.
Yeah.
But as a Airbnb owner, the review is a big deal. So that's where the story comes in. You leave this review. What happens next?
Well, right after that, I got a message from the host.
Oh.
and they were not happy with my review, right? In fact, they were disappointed.
Oh, that's the worst.
That's actually
the
worse.
worst pointed to be.
Yeah. Disappointed.
So being disappointed with a review. So they write to you and they're like, we're sorry you had a bad time. We're disappointed. This is the end of it.
Yeah. They were like, well, this may seem 3 out of 5 may seem mediocre, but Airbnb considers this below standard. It's just a big lecture, right? And then they're like, now we noticed in your review that you had put that you had 3 guests.
Let's stop on this point for a moment, because you did. You said at the beginning of our talk tonight, your girlfriend and you came to Halifax.
Yep.
When I saw you in Halifax, it was just you because your girlfriend was taking the exam, and you and I went out for supper, and she wanted to stay home and study. So I didn't know about this third person. However, in the review you wrote, you did say the 3 of us took about 4 showers.
Yeah.
Which that's a lot of showers for a 1-day stay, but that's besides the point. Why did you write 3 of us in your review?
That was a typo.
Oh,
that's a typo. That's okay. So this is where the Keep Canada Weird Army is they're gonna have to make some decisions.
You made a typo that there were 3 guests.
There were 3 guests, in my review.
And what how does that affect this whole
How does
situation?
that affect this? Okay, so they had said, well, now we noticed that, as you mentioned in your review, you had 3 guests staying there, and we only allow 2 guests. And we decided to let it slide, but we heard 3 voices and we saw 3 of you go into the place, which was total BS because there was just 2 of us.
And you didn't have any visitors like come by while you were staying there? It was literally just the 2 of you?
Literally just the 2 of us the whole time. It was a typo in the there's 3 instead of 2, right? But there was. So they said, now because of this and the extra mess that came along with your 3rd person, it required an extra hour of cleaning. So we're going to have to charge you $65 damages unless you ask Airbnb to remove the review.
Oh, I see. So they're like, we got them.
They're trying to get me, right?
So how much money do they want? Is it 65 or is it 65 plus the cost of an additional guest?
It's 65 even, right? But even if it was $5, I wouldn't want to pay.
Yeah, it may seem cliche, but is it about the money or is it principle at this point?
Yeah, I mean, it is cliche. It is principle, right? I mean, and if I might add, if they had offered me something, like I wasn't going to go poking for compensation. If they had offered me something, I might have given them a 4 or 5 star, but that wasn't offered to me. So I'm like, whatever goes.
Yeah, I don't know if the right word is blackmail, but they're we're going to charge you more. We want this money if you don't take down the review. Are you considering taking it down?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
And
have they made a formal request for this money, or is this just you get like an invoice or something?
Yeah, so they send you through the app. It's like a thing. It comes like, this person is charging you for damages $65, right? And then it says you can either accept, decline, or like counter offer some other amount.
And what did you hit?
I hit decline.
So where is it at now? What's like, are we waiting for Airbnb to get involved and make a decision, or?
Yeah, I mean, so when I hit decline, it asks like, do you want to explain why you hit decline to Airbnb in case the host escalates this further? I said, absolutely. I wrote in what happened. I was like, they're trying to blackmail me. And, that I might add, they don't even have security footage to prove that there were 3 of us. So,
so this might get interesting.
Yeah. So they said the uninvited guest charge stand. This is the host. Sorry. The host said sorry, Scott, the uninvited guest charge stands.
Okay.
And I said, okay, I left it at that.
Okay. So we can leave it at that tonight, but I think what we'll do is this should be a story we follow up on. But what I really want to get is the Keep Canada Weird Army to be judge and jury. Where should what should happen here? Because I think, like, I know you, Randy, the emotion is high in you, and maybe you can't see the forest for the trees, but I'm on your side. I think you're in the right, but it is an unfortunate typo.
It is an unfortunate typo.
It's the only hiccup in this entire story is that is kind of like written evidence that they have of like, oh, he's just saying it's a typo because he's trying to get out of this fee or whatever, but it actually was a typo. And yeah, but it's certainly, if this does go any further, and God forbid you end up in small claims court over the $65, but that is going to be a piece of written evidence that they're going to present to the judge to say, Your Honor, he says here clearly 3 of us.
I suggested they check their security, and I don't. They said they didn't have that, so I'm like, okay.
You know what you could do, actually.
Why would I suggest it if I wasn't confident, right? But anyway,
if they do force the $65 on you, you could play Ding Dong Ditch at their door.
Yeah, I can do that.
You just go up to the door and knock on it and then run away, and then they tie you up.
That's what I'll
Don't
do.
say anything you'll regret. Don't say anything you'll regret. We're going to park the story. If there are developments, Randy, let us know.
Yep, I will.
And if the Airbnb hosts are out there and they want to give their side of this story, we're happy to have them on.
You're welcome to.
Thank you for raising the alarm on this emerging issue affecting Canadians who use Airbnbs.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for sharing your story, Randy. We're going to go to break and then we'll continue the show.
Okay. See
ya.
you guys.
Before we start wrapping up the episode, let's catch up on some voicemails with listeners here. I want to play, we'll stick on the animal theme since we've covered one. We talked about the bear scheme in the United States. You remember the people last week who we talked about who dressed up as a bear to try to get insurance money. A listener named Lisa has some theories on what that was all about. And yes, she is pointing the finger at us for being responsible. Here it comes.
Hey, Jordan. Hey, Aaron. This is your correspondent from the Okanagan in British Columbia. And I'm just calling to offer a theory on the dumb criminals in the US with their insurance bear scheme. So our friends from across the border, the US citizens, they love us. They take every opportunity to try and emulate us. And so I think that these dumb criminals from the US are actually Keep Canada Weird fans. And they have come up with a ploy to make us think that the bears in the US have joined the animal uprising. So they wanted us to think that these bears are getting really smart. They're breaking into vehicles, scratching around, trying to figure out how they work so they can drive across the border and join the animal uprising. They did not mean any harm, even though they were willing to go to jail to impress us. But anyways, that's my theory. So have a good night. Thanks. Bye.
Is this our fault? Did we set this in motion by making ourselves vulnerable to pranks and hijinks to the extent that someone would do this, knowing they would get in the news and it would come across our desk?
It's another reason that Donald Trump is putting 25% tariffs on Canada, any imports from Canada, is because one of the conditions to take the tariffs away is no more humans dressing up as bears trying to connect to animal uprisings in Canada. So it's a cross-border issue. Trump has his eye on it, and he's stamped Canada with all of these tariffs now. And until we stop the fake bears
and the fentanyl, yeah, it's weird that when we started this thing we've been doing here called Keep Canada Weird, we never thought it would become an election issue or a political matter. It is at this point.
Yeah, it's a big one.
And maybe that's why so many people are so keen to take us down. Last week, we revealed a scheme by Spotify to make us a 4-star podcast. We talked about how some listeners were having a hard time giving us our justly deserved 5-star reviews. So I asked people, give it a shot, see if you can give us 5 stars, or is Spotify trying to prevent that? I got an anonymous voicemail about this issue, and there's going to be some backstory here. Listen to what the voicemail I got and read between the lines and tell me if this maybe goes deeper than Spotify trying to screw us.
Hi, Aaron and Jordan. I just sent an email with an attachment of a screen recording showing how on my phone, when I try to give a 5-star rating, it disappears at 5 stars. So the only thing is when I sent the email, it seemed a little glitchy or something towards the end. So I just wanted to send a voice note and to tell you to check your email to look at this video. And if you get it, just send me a quick email back so that I know you got it.
Take a guess. Did I receive that email?
No.
Spotify is trying to prevent us from getting 5-star reviews. Whoever handles the flow of emails across the internet saw to it that I didn't get the emailed proof that Spotify is doing this. This goes deep.
Yeah, they're even intercepting emails from our listeners who are trying to show that they're attempting to give us 5 stars, but Spotify is preventing it. And now they're actually stopping communication between us and our listeners, providing proof that they wanted to give us 5 stars.
Mm-hmm. The thing is that I know the voicemail communicator, which can be found at nighttimepodcast.com/contact, is safe. I'm still receiving those voicemails. So feel free to send voicemails, but and please try to give us 5 stars. But I think email communication has been compromised. The voicemail system is still secure.
Yes, please. We want to hear your voice. For only reasons of the podcast.
Mm-hmm. We got to start wrapping this up, though. Before we do, I think I want to call out to listeners who heard Randy's consumer complaint. I'd like to hear what side the Keep Canada Weird correspondents are on. Should Randy pay the 60 some odd dollars? Were 4 showers too much? Should he have to pay a newly implemented water fee for that or surcharge? Or do you think this soft blackmail by the Airbnb host is unjustified, and his simple typo is not justification for a $60-ish fee? Send a voicemail with your thoughts on that. And I think by the next episode, hopefully Airbnb's had a chance to review the complaint and come up with some decision. I'd be curious to see if Airbnb falls on the same side of the issue as the Keep Canada Weird listeners.
I'd be very curious to hear that as well. I wouldn't focus too much on the showering. It's an unrelated
4 showers.
4 showers.
A lot of
Yeah, no,
showers.
I mean, I take 2 a day quite often, to be honest. And I'm one person. So if I'm staying in an Airbnb with 2 people and my partner also takes roughly 2 showers a day, that's 4 showers.
Yeah, I guess maybe it's not unreasonable. It's a complicated issue. I also want to ask any other listeners who have a consumer complaint like this, if they're caught up in some kind of argument with a business, if you want a platform to tell your story and have an unbiased group of listeners and weigh in on the issue, go to nighttimepodcast.com/contact and tell us what's been going on. But with all that said, let's wrap up this show, Aaron. Let's put a bow on it. Let's put a fork in it. Let's put the candy can in the recycling bin because it's empty.
I still have a sip left in mine, so let me polish it off right now.
Okay. Quick, finish her off.
Done.
Thank you, Haley, for mine. Handsome Aaron Airport. Until next time.
Jordan, Bus Stop Bonaparte. Until next time.
You have a beautiful cat, Ken Tiggs. Any thoughts on maybe putting a high-vis vest on Ken Tiggs? Could you get one on him?
His smile is his safety vest.
I like it.
And Jordan, Bus Stop Bonaparte. Until next time, keep my cat's name out of your mother effing mouth.
I want to thank you for helping Aaron and I fulfill our mission to keep Canada weird. But if any one of you out there want to contribute to this mission even more, we need all the correspondence we can get. If something weird happens in your neck of the woods, or if you have any thoughts, theories, or opinions on anything we discussed tonight, we want to hear about it. The best way to reach us is by using the voice recorder that can be found at nighttimepodcast.com/contact. Aaron and I are really excited to hear from you. Now I'm going to start wrapping up this episode, but before I do, let me end with some thanks. First, a big thanks to all the Keep Canada Weird correspondents who contributed to this episode. If you heard a voice message of yours aired, please email me your mailing address at nighttimepodcast@gmail.com, and I'll have your Keep Canada Weird badge sent right out to you. I just ask that you wear it proudly and use it responsibly. Next, I want to give a big thanks to Aaron for sharing another great evening with me and with you, the listeners of the show. A shout out to Unicole, who provides the intro and outro voiceovers, and Monty Data, who provides the outro version of O Canada that you're about to hear. But lastly, and most importantly, a massive thank you goes out to each and every one of you listening, as without your interest and your support, this show would be as pointless as it would be impossible. And now, on the topic of support, a very special thanks goes out to the newest premium feed subscribers, Kristen, Shanda, and Steve. Thank you for going premium. And for anyone else who'd like to support the show, you can do it in a variety of ways. First of all, a premium feed subscription costs just a couple dollars a month, and that money will fund the creation of new episodes. But the premium feed will also give you those new episodes 2 days early, give them to you ad-free, and give you access to a full back catalog of episodes. If that sounds like something you're interested in, you can go premium right now at nighttimepodcast.com/subscribe. And even if the premium feed isn't for you, you can still support the show by sharing this episode on social media and letting all your like-minded friends know why they should listen. Your support is very much appreciated. Now, until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and let us know if you see anything weird.
Keep Canada Weird is written, hosted, and produced by the Nighttime Podcast.
And now to our viewers and listeners everywhere. Good night.
By the way, love your guys' show. I'm a huge fan. It's a Friday ritual for me. I look forward to every Friday at the end of my work week. I treat myself to listening to your guys' show while I'm unwinding and getting everything ready to relax on my Friday night. And I enjoy some extremely good chuckles on your behalf, and I'm super grateful. So keep on keeping Canada weird.
This is Shannon calling from Atlanta. Just calling to say your podcast is absolute fire right now, and that I love y'all very much. Give Kintigs my best.
I suggested they check their security, and I they said they didn't have that. So I'm like, okay, like, why would I suggest it if I wasn't confident, right? But anyway. I might add, if they had offered me something, like I wasn't going to go poking for compensation. If they had offered me something, I might have given them a 4 or 5 star, but that wasn't offered to me. So I'm like, whatever, guys.